And welcome back. My name is Alden Antonucci, and this is Extreme Power Hour Podcast. I've got my brother here with Next Home Destination, and he's going to give us a quick synopsis of what's happening in the residential real estate market here in the Bozeman area, and kind of touch a little bit about on the nationwide side of things. Abe, take it from there.
How's it going? Thanks for having me. This is an awesome studio. Great equipment.
Yeah, thanks
Great
for coming.
space. This is sweet. So
awesome.
Yeah, like you said, my name's Abraham Antonucci with Next Home Destination. We have a local residential real estate company in Bozeman, Montana. Our franchise, Next Home, is out of kind of the San Francisco area in California. So it's a franchise, and we run the brokerage here locally in Bozeman, Montana. So we've got 10 agents in town that are all independent contractors, but we're licensed real estate sales agents. Yeah, primarily residential. So,
and I hear with Next Home Destination, you've got to really capitalize on the online market and the internet market. How does that look like with your franchise that you're part of?
Yeah, with our franchise with Next Home, it's very pro tech driven. So like our backend that you wouldn't see as like normal consumers as super just like up to speed, like very modern. So we've got all sorts of tools that we can do like media and promotion stuff. All of our logos are already there. We've got a really good back end. We call it like a CRM, like a good database. We can keep track of people. So just very modern, very sleek, and just great vendors that are all tied in with Next Home. So me as an independent agent, I don't have to go out there and try and find and source different companies. They do all the hard part. So
basically you took a market that's like this and you've streamlined it into funnels where you can have it at your fingertips.
Yeah. So we call it like a back end. It's just behind the scenes, all the different tools we have access to for real estate agents. For example, if I wanted to, let's say, send out postcards tomorrow, I could take a picture of a house, put my name on there. They'll draft it all, and then I can feed it into my database, hit send, and I can mail the postcards to all of these different places I want to.
Super cool.
So it's just all real streamlined.
So a lot of the audience is probably wondering is A, how's today's market? And B, how's the interest rates and all that look like?
Man, open-ended question, right? Hit me right off the beginning. Disclaimer, I'm not a lender. Talk to your lender, talk to those people in charge. But today, like interest rates for a 30-year fixed, if you have good credit, you're ready to go. You're ready to buy a house. All your taxes are in order.
If I'm a first-time home buyer, what is good credit?
Yeah.
Is that 640? Is that 720?
I mean, if you're in the mid sixes, you're probably pretty solid. The higher you get in the sixes into the sevens, you're going to be a better buyer towards any of the lenders.
So if I'm a first-time home buyer and I'm self-employed, what does that look like to be ready to look for a house and call you?
Again, I'm not a lender, but you should probably have at least 2 years in taxes.
And that's probably good tax returns.
Yes. So you're going to want to, make yourself or produce as much income as you can to be able to buy a house. So 2 solid years of taxes, I would say, before you want to apply.
So if I was going to buy a house today, I'm an independent contractor, and I make roughly $100,000 a year on my taxes. At what price point could I relatively afford in this current market?
And well, I don't know what you could afford exactly, but if you're a 2-person household, let's say you're both making combined $100,000, I can just recommend that you want to keep a third, no more than half of your income should go towards your home purchase or your housing costs, whether that's renting or buying. So whatever that looks like in your budget, let's say you make $10,000 a month, for example. You don't want to spend any more than maybe $3,300 of that, a month towards housing and rent related stuff.
So $3,300 might get me around $500,000 mortgage.
Not even
$400,000.
Not even. I mean, today's interest rates, I think we're about 6.69 for a 30-year fix. And that, I don't even know. I'd have to look at a calculator. You're probably somewhere in the 300s, mid 350s maybe.
Okay.
For that range.
So first-time home buyer making roughly $10,000 a month can afford roughly a mortgage of $3,500.
Yeah, approximately.
And in the current interest rates, you get around a $350,000 house.
Ish, yeah.
Now we're here in Bozeman, Montana. I think $350,000 is probably a safe bet. You could buy property outside of Bozeman, but in Bozeman proper in Belgrade area, what's the median home price?
Median home price for Bozeman specifically in December was around $750,000.
So could I buy
Bozeman city
anything in Bozeman at $350,000?
No, not currently. We have two listings, for example, in Belgrade. One is 355,000, and I think the other one's like 369,000. So
2-bedroom, 3-bedroom,
those are for condos. Those are both condos. Those would be 3-bed,
2-bath.
2-bath condos, 1-car garages.
So you can get in with 350,000 something entry level. And that would be about the minimum.
I mean, give or take, because a condo's a little bit different. They lend a little bit different than a single family home. Sometimes they need a little bit more money down. Sometimes the interest rates are a little bit higher. So ish.
So you're saying right now the market, the median home price in the Bozeman Belgrade area is around 750,000,
No,
or is that just Bozeman?
That's just Bozeman city limits would be about that. So
very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look at the statistics for more like Belgrade, Bozeman, but you're probably more like high sixes, I think, for if you're combined median or your average, depending on how you're going to look at it, probably mid to high sixes for a single family home.
Okay.
When you combine condos, townhomes, I'm not sure what those numbers would be.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit lower. But.
So maybe let's talk about the frenzy that happened maybe around 2 years ago, where everyone could sell it for whatever number you wanted, and it looked like they were selling it within hours, if not a couple days. So if you could kind of tell us what the past market looked like, where we are now, and where do you think it's going in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a lot. So back up, let's go post-pandemic or pre-pandemic. Let's talk about 2019. East Bozeman, Belgrade market, super solid. You could probably get a nice home, single family home for high threes, maybe mid 400s in the area. A little bit higher than national average. Pandemic hits, people start expanding. They can work remotely now. They can log in online and do their jobs anywhere in the country. Bozeman market's a super desirable area. We've got the mountains, rivers, lakes, skiing, hunting, fishing. So people are like, well, if I can live anywhere, why not come to Montana and work? So a lot of those really desirable locations around the country, whether it be Tahoe, Boulder, Colorado,
like a tourist destination.
Yeah,
location.
Coastal Maine, wherever. People decided we're going to move to those locations because we can live there and work remotely and make the same income as we're making in wherever metropolis they came from. So Bozeman was one of those places where people started coming to in the Gallatin Valley. They also came to Missoula, Billings, Helena, Kalispell, Whitefish. All had this similar thing.
What would the median home price pre-COVID?
You probably could have got a nice house like $450.
Okay, so $450.
Yeah.
And you said in the current market's roughly $750.
Yeah, you're almost double.
Almost double. All right.
Yeah.
So now we're going into COVID where everything kind of hit the pause button a little bit, right?
Pause, yeah. People were kind of afraid for a while. I didn't know if I was going to have a job. Prices paused for a little bit, dropped, and then they started to increase about June or July, I would say, of 2020. I think that's when things started to go gangbusters a little bit. And so we went from having a ton of inventory, people afraid to buy.
How much inventory is it gauged on the MLS?
A healthy supply of inventory should be about 4 to 6 months.
And so did we have that pre-pandemic?
Not really. Bozeman was already shorthanded. We were probably like 2 to 3 months worth of inventory. And then fast forward to fall of 2020, we were down to a couple of weeks worth of inventory. Meaning if no one listed a house right then, you might have a couple of weeks worth of inventory and supply for the current buyers coming in. And that's what drove the cost so high. And builders had stopped building. supply chain had happened, so there's a lot of gaps. There was not new stuff being built to replace what
And
was
I
being
heard
sold.
plywood went all the way from like around $20 up to $70
Yeah.
a sheet. And you were building homes during
Yeah,
that time. So
yeah.
how did that look when you were building a house on the supply chain?
It was scary because we were trying to figure out where to get our next supplies from. So we were sourcing them from different towns, different states. We had a hard time finding propane tanks, garage doors, black shingles.
So everything.
Everything that was
It
popular.
almost doubled. Almost everything doubled.
Almost
to build a
doubled,
house
yeah.
doubled. They went from 200, 300,000 almost overnight doubled. Therefore, the builders had to ask that much more money.
Yeah, they did. And they did, and the demand was so high that it was hard to keep inventory. So so fast forward to, so that was pretty busy. 2020, 2021 was still pretty popular. The world still was kind of in lockdown there for a little while. People were flooding to Montana. Fast forward to 2022. Spring of 2022 was amazing for real estate on my end. Anyway, we were busy. Phones were ringing. And then we started hearing rumors about the Feds raising the interest rates on the 10-year Treasury bond, and they did. They started cranking them up because that was part of the thing that was spurring a lot of the people buying homes because interest rates, 2, 3, 4%.
Right.
And so you're buying a home using cheap money. Then come about the summer of 2022, we started to see those rates start incrementally getting higher. And then we started to see kind of nationwide and regionally here, prices starting to simmer. They're starting to hold. Our days on market went from a couple of weeks to more like
hours.
Well, no, they went longer. So
they went longer on that.
Yeah.
Particular.
So end of 2022, we started to see more inventory coming on the market, and so instead of a couple of weeks, we had maybe a month or two worth of inventory.
So that medium house price went from roughly 300,000 or 400,000, and it kept creeping up
to
each
like
sale.
Mm-hmm.
And where did it kind of reach its peak?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I know Bozeman city limits fairly well, and in December of 2023, looks like a Bozeman single family. This is Bozeman city limits, hit around $950,000.
900, and that was a median home price.
That was a median home
just
price.
Shy of $1 million.
Yeah, and that's a single family. Again, that's not a condo or townhome. I'm just talking single family.
Right.
And then by January, we had come back down to that $750,000 range.
Got it.
And I don't know if it's because the prices got higher in December or if more people chose to buy a property that month that was more expensive. It's really hard to kind of control for that data to know, but by January of this year, we already seen that people are purchasing homes that cost less. That's why I think that median was around $750,000.
So a lot of people would say, well, the inflation is probably what jacked up everything. Do you feel like inflation was an aspect in there, or what was going on there, you think, with inflation?
I'm definitely not an economist, but I just know as built a couple of homes during this time that all of my prices as a home builder went up, and land went up because land was scarce. And so, well, I think it definitely added to it. So,
no, definitely. And if you can, we'd like to interview again and stay tuned for another episode. Then that way we can talk about where's the market going. And I think that's what everyone's waiting for.
Yeah.
So if you could stay tuned with us. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for watching. This is Alden Antonucci with my brother Abraham Antonucci with Next Home Destination. Stay tuned for the next episode where we're going to learn about the forecast of the market that's coming up and see what's happening nationwide with the interest rates and such. Alden Antonucci with Extreme Power Hour Podcast.